It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends it, yes! Caught! Touchdown, did he get it?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome on in to another edition of the Full Court Press. Happy Monday to you. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker here on the Full Court Press, and very big Monday for Utah State. Ranked in both polls, going from not receiving any votes to in the top 25 in both the Associated Press and the coaches' polls, and some individual honors handed out as well. A great week for Utah State men's basketball, and certainly a massive win in the Spectrum on Saturday night over 13th-ranked Colorado State, and the nation took notice. Very exciting game. We'll be talking about it today, talking about the individual honors handed out as well. We've got the updated net rankings for the day, current standings throughout the Mountain West. We also have updated RPI for high school basketball as region play getting underway later on this week for Region 11. Of course, we have the College Football Championship. We've got NFL playoffs that are set. Definitely no shortage of content today. And the Utah Jazz are in Milwaukee later on this evening. So love to have you chime in and be a part of the program. 435-339-0321 on any and all of those topics if you want to weigh in. But, Jason, what a big weekend for Utah State, both current Utah State and some Utah State alum who had themselves a good weekend too.
Yeah, I know Sam Merrill getting himself the 18 points against for Cleveland. I forget who they were playing.
Yeah, 5 3-pointers off the bench.
Yeah, he's still rolling there, getting a lot of burn in the last 10 or so games. I think he's averaged like 12 points a game on like 45% on 3-pointers in the last month or so, where he's played just about every game. I think every game except 2. But yeah, for the current Aggies, men's basketball, fantastic win. It is home, but that's the thing is, against a team like Colorado State, if the Aggies are going to win or have any chance of winning the conference, these are the kind of games they had to win.
Yeah.
It wasn't an option. They had to win. You have to hold home court. Doesn't matter who it is, you have to hold home court. You can't be giving away any of these home games. So the Aggies proved that. And I think something that Chris Murray actually wrote from NevadaSports.net, something that he kind of commented on as he was kind of overviewing some of the teams in the conference. He said the win, kind of paraphrasing, because he said the win turns the Aggies from a fun story into an actual conference contender. And I think that's the turn the Aggies just made.
Yeah, great.
They were a fun story. You could call them a fantastic story. I mean, and people keep harping on they returned no points, but they're such and won. We've been seeing that for a month and a half.
Right.
Is they're on the second longest winning streak in the country right now at 13 straight wins. But yeah, this win legitimizes what the Aggies have been doing. That's why they made that jump into the polls, going from no votes to 20th. Overlapping, jumping over a bunch of different teams, because that's what beating the number 13 team in the country is going to get you. Gets you respect. Combine that with the 14-1 record, and nobody's doubting the Aggies at this point. And the teams that do doubt the Aggies, well, they're the ones who are going to go home with some losses. Yes. Not saying that Colorado State didn't believe, because obviously they played that game super tough as well.
Right.
But
so the first half, Colorado State is in control. Utah State has opportunities, but a lot of empty possessions. Just give some credit to Colorado State for that, forcing Utah State into some tough shots, but not a ton of turnovers for Utah State, but they had some, or they just had an empty possession where just a bad shot, just wasn't a good selection. Second half, things turned. What in your mind was the factor in turning the tide for Utah State in the second half?
This sounds incredibly stupid to say, but they just finally started hitting their shots. because that was the main problem of the first half, is that they'd have an open three-pointer here, or a decent shot there, and they just missed it. They went 1 of 10 on three-pointers in the first half. A lot of those were open threes that they created by good ball movement, good offense, good cutting, and then making the pass to the open guy once he'd broken down Colorado State. They just didn't hit their shots in that first half. And then in the second half, not only did they hit their shots, but then they got aggressive getting to the rim, drew a bunch of fouls. Greg Osobor going off. Mason Falslev went off in that second half as he put some more rim pressure, on Colorado State. So I think those were some of the bigger keys that they hit their shots. It sounds so simple, but it's a make-or-miss league, and it's a make-or-miss sport. The Aggies shoot 28% in the first half on field goals. They shot over 60% in the second half. You can almost explain the entire game based off that. I think there were 28 points in the first, 28 points the first time. I think they had 49 in the second half. I don't know if the math quite adds up there, but it was something to that effect where, offensively they just kind of went off a little bit. And defensively they were fairly consistent between the two halves. They ended up, I think, giving up more points in the second half than they did in the first. They gave up 40 points in the second half as opposed to 32, but just defensively all game, that was certainly a big way that the Aggies won this game. Like, the Aggies gave up 72 points, and in my article called it a defensive masterclass, because that's what it feels like when you hold a team like this to 72 points.
Yeah, I thought that Utah State, they walked away from Air Force with a comfortable win, but they missed a lot of free throws in that game. And so I was very nervous about that particular aspect of the game Saturday. I shouldn't have been nervous. Utah State shot very well at the free throw line, 20 of 23. The team that's a very good shooting free throw team normally is Colorado State, but they only shot 36% from the free throw line.
Yeah, this
4 of 11. Yeah,
this is by far their worst game. Yeah, you mentioned how good they are. They're ranked 13th in the country, not just in the AP poll, but in free throw shooting. 78% as a team so far, and 4 of 11. Guys who normally don't miss free throws are missing free throws. Isaiah Stevens missed the front end of a 1-and-1 in a pretty crucial moment of the game.
Right.
The guy who hit, a turnaround fadeaway 3-point shot in the second half.
Somebody in his face.
Yeah, it's like, you hit that shot, you won't hit a free throw. But the Aggies certainly got lucky. Yeah, that free throw disparity in attempts, it was inflated a little bit by end of game fouling. But obviously in percentage, 87% to 36. That's another thing you can say decided the game. And that's part of why I talked about, drawing fouls in that second half, putting pressure on Colorado State. That was forcing more fouls, forcing more free throws. Great Osobor doing his thing, drawing 9 fouls in this game, which played a part in fouling out Cartier and I think a little bit in Clifford. I don't know how much Clifford was actually guarding Great Osobor, but other guys were drawing fouls as well.
Yeah, and I thought that the putting pressure on Colorado State's defense was also critical in the first half. They were struggling to make these outside shots, but at least they were still attacking and putting pressure on Colorado State. So they weren't getting a lot of field goals at certain stretches, but at least they were getting to the free throw line. And that sustained them and kept them within striking distance. And then into the second half, you have Colorado State going into that brutal student section, and it affected them. I have to think that it affected them. A really sharp-shooting team struggled at the free throw line, and much of those struggles were in the second half when they had to go up and face that student section at Utah State.
Yeah, Colorado State, from the statute saying they didn't attempt a free throw in the first half. So all 4 of 11 was them facing the student section, a sold-out student section, bunch of kids who were camping out the night before in, early January weather. My goodness. Probably a bit of snow, too. Did it snow overnight?
More came after and then into the evening. So I don't know if there was a lot when if they camped out Friday night into Saturday, they probably didn't have to worry about it.
It was more Saturday night. So.
Yeah, it was more into
Saturday
night
morning
into Sunday. Yeah.
Okay, so they didn't have to go with snow, but still, temperatures can't have been that fun.
Not real comfortable.
But certainly worth it for them to be able to be in that stadium and officially a sellout. 10,270 people officially in attendance for that game, maybe a little more, because there were some people in standing room only.
Right. The pep band wasn't there, and so students filled that section, so there were more students available to fill more space than normal.
Yeah, and after the game, I went into the media room and got in and was like, oh, goodness, blessed silence. It was finally quiet, but my ears were still trying to register sound. Like I don't know if they were ringing, but it was like that almost semi-deaf like feeling. It was like it was loud.
And that was one of the things we talked about going into the game. How much would the crowd play a factor? Colorado State had played some really good teams, but they hadn't gone into a really, truly hostile environment yet to that point of their season. So they've played good teams, but they were in neutral sites or it was at their court. They hadn't really played a tough team on the road in front of a hostile crowd. And on Saturday night in Logan, that was their first taste of it, and we saw how that worked out for them.
Yeah, I think the 4 of 11 on free throws, and then in the second half, the whole game it had been close, and Colorado State was in control for probably about 80% of this game. It was back and forth in the first few minutes. Colorado State goes up 21-11. The Aggies did rally, and so they stayed within 4 or 5, but Colorado State was always, nose
Playing
ahead.
From ahead, yep.
And then finally it gets to the Aggies take a lead at a couple of different points in that second half. They went up like 42-41 and like 51-50 or something to that effect. And the crowd starts getting into it a little more. And then at 57-57, or technically it was at 57-55, Colorado State was up. The Aggies went on a 10-0 run. They go up 65-57. And the crowd's just getting more and more and more into it, especially after Isaac Johnson hit that three-pointer.
Oh, yes.
And that was a massive turning point because, one, Isaac Johnson used every inch of his 7-foot and whatever wingspan he's got body to hit a three. Contested three-pointer out there on the left wing. And, the Aggies, they were up 2 at that point, which wasn't really different from any of their other leads. One possession lead, that's, not anything Colorado State was going to worry about. Johnson hits that tough contested three, and then bam, you're down 5. And then Isaac Johnson gets a steal on the next possession, swipes away an entry pass. And then I think it was after that Uduje hit the and one. I think Johnson fumbled a dunk attempt.
Oh yes, that's right.
But got an assist in the weirdest way where it comes down to Uduje and he puts it back up and in. And that's where suddenly the crowd explodes and gets into it. And suddenly Colorado State's down. It's like where before crowd got a little into it, but then they hit a silencer. Neat Cleaford hit a couple of those. The crowd goes silent for a second because Colorado State takes the lead again, and they maintain control. But suddenly the crowd is going nuts, and you're down 7-8 points. Colorado State didn't have anything after that. They didn't really throw any more punches after that.
Number of texts rolling through. We'll get to those. But I also feel like that Isaac Johnson, when he came in, I think you could sense that there was a change in his demeanor and activity level, and then hitting that three kind of was the icing on the cake to that. But we'll get into more of that. Your thoughts about the big game on Saturday for Utah State? A couple of texts coming in, 9315 with a number of them. I'll just try to make the most sense of this as I can.
Well, my text line's not working, so I don't know if I'm getting any of these.
Any chance you guys know the river dance at the Full Court Press? Need you to teach it to USU opponent. Make the right-left chant way more exciting. Oh, okay. And then great. And this basketball team sure know how to make guys receive 5 fouls. Yes, he's really good at putting pressure on defenders. And then it's fine USU is ranked, but what matters most is that USU pays their rent every day, just like we as fans need to pay our rent by selling out every home game, or this team will have higher odds of falling behind and be in trouble. Not too big for our overall mentality for this team. We're fans. And then the 6th player, the fan, helped block their free throws.
Yeah, certainly. I think the Aggies actually have, I don't know, free throw defense isn't really a thing, but the Aggies, I think, are randomly one of the better teams at, I don't know if you want to call it free throw defense. It's not really a thing.
Opponent free throw percentage?
Yeah, opponent free throw percentage. I feel like I saw somewhere they're actually pretty decent at it. I don't know what goes into that. It's usually just variance in opponents and all that. So
5338 texting in, does the Aggie basketball coach hold a post-game press conference anymore? We don't hear that on Aggie Call.
So there is one, and I usually send in the audio to Al. It's kind of up to him if he's going to use that, just depending on where the conversation's going and whether I get it into him, because I actually didn't send in the Coach Sprinkle audio quick enough.
Well, they'll always take the coach's comments immediately after the game, so they have that always, supposed to at least, and then shortly after his comments, then they cut away to go to Aggie Call. So they don't air the postgame press conference during Aggie Call so much anymore because we already get the coach and player interview immediately after the game.
Yeah, and so it's really just if there's anything extra into the players or whatnot. So, yeah, I never listen to the radio one, so I don't know if he adds anything, but I imagine it's usually pretty similar to what he would end up saying to us.
Usually is, sometimes not always, but.
Yeah, especially the opening comments. Opening comments are going to be identical.
Yeah, they're always going to be the same. But I just want to circle back on Isaac Johnson. Coming into the second half, he comes in and immediately grabs a key rebound, pushes the ball down the field or down the court. The Colorado State comes down on the next possession. He grabs another key rebound, eliminating second chance opportunities for Colorado State. Comes down and takes a contested three-point shot, which looks like maybe not the best shot to be taking, but he nails it. And that was, as you already pointed out, that was a huge momentum moment for the arena and for the team. And from then on, Utah State didn't look back. But I thought Isaac Johnson's contributions in that short couple of minutes in the second half were massive. Now, great Osobor had a great night all night. Mason Falslev had a great night all night. He had stretches where Darius Brown offensively did some things. Certainly he was tasked with a mighty role defensively. Ian Martinez struggled a little bit here and there, but he had some big moments. Joshua Duje off the bench. So there were guys who had their moments. Osobor, solid throughout. Falslev, solid throughout. But it was even though it looks like Osobor had the biggest impact in the game in points and rebounds, this really was a total team effort for Utah State to get the win.
Yeah, it absolutely had to because everyone had to play their part on defense. And you talk about Darius Brown, you look at his stat line, and there were some comments that Darius had a pretty bad game. It was like, you see what he was doing on defense? Like, Isaiah Stevens had to hit, I think 8 of his 21 points came on some of the most difficult shots you could possibly try and hit. Whereas, multiple, he came off of a screen and just, leaped high into the air. There's still a hand in his face coming off of a dribble handoff to drill a three-pointer. That turnaround, fade-away three-pointer. End of the half, he just ISOs and hits a crazy mid-range jump shot. And so that's where he was getting, a lot of his points is on these super difficult shots. That was the most difficult 21 points Isaiah Stevens will ever score in his life. And that's what Darius Brown did.
Yeah.
Is Isaiah Stevens scored 21 points, but he did not dominate that game, even though he was technically the leading scorer among all players. Clifford had a bigger impact where he was hitting just, he felt unstoppable at times. He had a better, shooting percentage overall. So that was Darius Brown's contribution. Obviously going 2 for 11. He could have had a better night. Of course, if he'd have had a better night, the Aggies would have probably been in control a lot more of this game. Especially if Brown doesn't have 5 turnovers, which is almost unheard from him this season to have that many turnovers. A negative assist to turnover differential, that's different. But again, his defensive impact was massive in that game, where he made Isaiah Stevens work so dang hard for literally everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, he said everyone else playing their part. Ian Martinez, 9 points, but a lot of those were created off the dribble where nobody else was creating offense. And Ian Martinez says, all right, I'll go make a shot. And he did. Isaac Johnson, 8 rebounds. They're all defensive rebounds, but they're all him going up there and grabbing it so nobody else is tipping them out. Because I can't remember if it was Cartier or Lake, or one of them would just jump up there and just tip the ball back to Colorado State's backcourt guys. So many of those offensive rebounds where he just jumps up and tips it back. But Isaac Johnson wasn't letting him do that because he's just using his length. He's the tallest guy out there on the court, and he grabs the rebound.
Yeah.
Obviously, a different offensive or a different rebounding performance from Osobor because Osobor grabbed 7 offensive rebounds. So, yeah, everyone playing their part in this one.
435-339-0321. If you want to chime in, it was an electric spectrum on Saturday night. Utah State rewarded by their performance, ranked in both polls in the top 25, and some individual honors handed out as well. We haven't discussed that too much, but we'll continue to talk about Utah State basketball with a big win on Saturday and a short turnaround with another conference opponent tomorrow night. So we'll discuss that. We got high school basketball to recap from the weekend, the latest RPI rankings on that. We've got the college football championship going on this evening. Utah Jazz are in Milwaukee. No shortage of topics if you want to weigh in. 435-339-0321.
It's ski season, Cache Valley. This is Mark at the Sportsman, where we mount bindings. If you need bindings mounted to your skis or snowboards, in most cases, we can do it in 48 hours or less. That's right, 48 hours or less. At the Sportsman, we can also tune, sharpen, wax, and repair your skis or board so they are ready for the season. Usually, we can get those done in 48 hours as well. For 73 years, we have been taking care of skis and boards only at the Sportsman on Main Street in downtown Logan with tons of parking in the back.
Security. It's the most precious thing you can give your home, especially if it's guaranteed. No cheap locks, no weak keys, no inadequate hardware, just the expertise and precision and security. Beezer Lock and Key believes there's no place like a safe home, and no home safer than one secured by them. It may seem they only sell locks and keys, but what they really sell is peace of mind. Search Beezer Lock and Key or go to 4th North and 1st West and just add confidence.
The new Prodigy Brewing on Center Street in Logan offers an atmosphere that's vibrant, energetic, and friendly. Serving handmade juicy burgers, wood-fired pizzas, wings, nachos, and locally crafted beer while bringing a unique space to downtown Logan. Now offering lighter lunch options like personal-sized pizzas and sliders, or choose from your favorites like wings, beer cheese, fried pickles, and more. Stop by for a quick and delicious lunch that will get you back to work on time. Experience Prodigy Brewing, exceptional food, extraordinary service, and family-friendly on Center Street in downtown Logan.
Check out the new Liberty Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in beautiful Montpelier, Idaho. We've got friendly staff, great service, fresh inventory, and the same values you expect in a small town. Montpelier, Idaho, a small town with great people to serve you, the people of Idaho, Wyoming, and Utah. You can now see most inventory online too at libertycdjr.com. We're the new Liberty Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Montpelier with warranty forever.
Adams Wealth Advisors loves hearing, "We know our money is being watched over. They take care of it." I'm not worried. Adams knows what to do. Every time I call Adams Wealth Advisors, they have the answers.
This is Craig Adams. At Adams Wealth Advisors, we are here to help you receive peace of mind, whether you've done a lot of planning or a little planning. Count on our team at Adams Wealth Advisors for honesty, professionalism, and integrity.
Visit AdamsWealthAdvisors.com or call 752-1702 to schedule a time with an advisor today.
Do you have a fireplace or stove that isn't working right? Don't wait until winter to get it fixed. Get ahead of the game and get your fireplace or stove serviced now by the best of Northern Utah winter, Advanced Fireplace and Stove. They service everything from Quadra-Fire pellet stoves to heat and glow fireplaces. Get a 20% discount on your next service and labor when you mention this ad. Call 752-7272 or go to AdvancedFireplaceandStove.com. Advanced Fireplace and Stove, where comfort is their business.
Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. Open enrollment for individual health insurance is November 1st through January 15th. Coverage through the marketplace is available with more tax credits. You could save a bunch. If you haven't qualified in the past, try again now. We will help you navigate the marketplace, understand your choices, and complete enrollment. Trying it on your own can be frustrating. Let us help. Call 752-9493. There is no cost to work with us. Having a local agent makes all the difference. Call 752-9493.
The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Big week for Utah State fans. Utah State men's basketball picks up a win over top 25 opponents on Saturday. Sam Merrill playing well for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Jordan Love getting the Green Bay Packers into the playoffs. he is arguably, and statistics kind of back this up, over the last 8 weeks, has been the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, that was something that Alex Smith, I believe, said on a podcast earlier. I want to credit the Ike Packers podcast or IKE Packers podcast. I don't know how I'm supposed to say that, but a Packers podcast where Alex Smith was on there. So over the last 7-8 weeks, Jordan Love's been the best quarterback in the NFL, and I added some stats up. He's first in the NFL in that. And so the last 8 weeks, I did that. Last 8 weeks, first in yards, first in touchdown interception ratio, second in touchdown, second pass rating, third in completion percentage. The players that he's second and third to, they're often not, again, he's best overall. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's one player that's ahead of him in one of these stats, and it's a different player. So it's like overall,
consistently in the top 3 of a lot of different categories.
Yeah, nobody else is this high up in all five of those categories. It's just him that's just consistently always up there. So, and then the Packers are 6-2 in those 8 weeks, and there's only one team that's won more than 6 games in the last 8 weeks. So yeah, everything.
There we go.
Wins, stats. That's what you got. So he's definitely arguably been the best quarterback of the last 8 weeks in the entire NFL.
Yeah, and some momentum on their side as they'll have to go to Dallas in the opening round of the playoffs next week. But we bring that up because his performance was part of our Pick 6 guesses going into the weekend. And Jason, we're doing this now because you got to sneak out a little bit to go up to Utah State practice to hear Coach Danny Sprinkle preview Wyoming. So we're moving this up a little bit earlier in our timeline for our Pick 6 reveal. So start off, the first one, Boston Celtics hosted the Utah Jazz on Friday, and one of the lines was they're made 3-pointers by the Celtics. Line was set at 15.5. They hit 17.
Oh, gosh.
I took the over. You took the under. That's a lot of 3-pointers to make in a game.
It is. That's why I took the under. 15, that's a lot.
Well, they average 16 a game.
Oh, do they?
So that's why I set it at 15.5.
I didn't realize that. That's a lot of 3-pointers.
Jordan Love, all-purpose yards versus Chicago. The line was set at 250.5. Well, he threw for 316, and he went for -1 in rushing. So it's a 315 total. Impressive performance by Jordan Love. I took the under. You took the over. And he crushed it. So we're tied 1-1. Simone Fontecchio, points and rebounds at Philadelphia. We had 7 points, and he had 7 rebounds. The line was set at 14.5 when we both took the over. So we missed on that one.
Dang, he's close.
Very close. Who would have more assists, Darius Brown or Isaiah Stevens, when they faced each other on Saturday? Stevens had 8. Brown had 3. We both took Brown. So we missed on that one. So we're still tied 1-1 here. Wins by Region 11 boys basketball teams. This was Friday and Saturday from last week. 5 of the 6 schools were in action. And I took the over. You took the under. Line was set at 3.5. There were 4 teams who won. And then the last one of our lines, Walker Kessler blocks at Boston. Line was set at 2.5. I took the over. You took the under. He had 0. So we're tied. 2-2. Not a very good pick 6 for us.
No, 2 out of 6
this time. So it comes down to our tiebreaker, Jets and Patriots. Who would get the closer score? I got to go back and find us here. I guessed Jets 17, Patriots 13, and you guessed Patriots 20, Jets 10. Final score, Jets 17, Patriots 3.
Gosh.
So, looks like I got the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I think you did.
I got the winning team.
Yeah. Oh, that's...
It's been a minute. I mean, we're going back and forth mostly here on Pick 6.
Yeah, we are. I don't know if any of us has gotten a win streak or a win streak better than 2 in a while. My win streaks are reserved for the summer. when you keep throwing out your baseball stats.
I know.
Nothing about baseball, but I always seem to get them.
Yeah, you always clean up on that, yes. And you go on these long stretches. Like, I'm going to get him this week.
Need to stop doing baseball lines.
No. All right, a couple more texts coming through on our Full Court Press text line. 8968 texting in, this was the first game in quite some time that I left the game with no voice at all.
I imagine there are a lot of Aggie fans who were that way. This is that kind of game where you're just screaming, then especially rushing the court and having just tons of fun at the game. There's a lot of people that were tweeting after the game like, the best fan experience I've ever had. And it's like, yeah, these are the games that you remember.
Yes, and it was the Spectrum has mostly it's regained its magic. It was just fantastic through the Stu Morrill years. Started to wane. Craig Smith started to revive it a little bit again, and it came back and was sustained during Coach Odom. But that was just a fantastic showing by the students and the overall fans that were there and showed up. By the whole community, just great night for Utah State.
Yeah.
7241. Who cares about the college football invitational tonight when we could just talk Aggie basketball all day?
Yeah. I've not really thought a whole lot about the college football playoff. We did talk about it on the show earlier, or last week. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a conversation where you have people that are in the G5, and I call it G5 bubble, where the college football playoff is just something you happen to watch. It's not something that you obsess over the same way that a lot of the rest of the college football world completely obsesses over, where that's literally everything they talk about.
Right.
Then you have Mountain West teams out here. Oh, yeah, championships today. I guess I'll watch that, but really good game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game.
Yeah, I'm glad that I'm hoping it'll be a good game because it's better than what we usually get in the championship. We had good semifinal games.
Oh, semifinals were fantastic.
And normally there's 2 blowouts in the semifinals, and you might get a good game in the championship. I'm actually expecting a good game this time out, and I'll probably end up being disappointed. Because now that I'm expecting it, that's when they're going to have another blowout. It's just how it goes.
Michigan is favored by 6 in the game tonight. 9315, was this game worthy of court storming?
I had some people responding because I posted a video of it, and they're like, all this for Colorado State? It's like, unranked team beats ranked team equals court storming every time. That's how it works. I don't know what this notion of you only get to storm the court. And, if you beat Duke, I guess, but they're never coming here. You win a championship game? Well, most of those are played at a neutral site. You storm the court when you beat a ranked team, unless you're, ranked above them, I guess.
Yeah, if you're both ranked, then no, you don't do it. You act like you've been there before. This was a top 15 team.
Yeah.
This was a good basketball team. And honestly, I felt like it was more of a recognition of the season as a whole than just winning that specific game. It's not like there's this long, storied rivalry between Utah State and Colorado State. You have this ranked team that the Aggies have struggled to beat in the past. I felt like it was more of a recognition of this is a special team having a special year. That was my feeling. Maybe people were just excited that we beat a ranked team on the Spectrum floor. And it's been a minute, not unheard of, but it's been a little bit of a minute since the Aggies have beaten a ranked team in Logan.
Yeah, it's been since 2019. It's been 5 years, basically. And so I was 100% expecting it. I had my phone out last minute, waiting for the final thing, and I was going to film it. Because I knew it was going to happen. Because that's the formula. Beat a ranked team at home, you storm the court. That's how it works. Maybe it's different from years gone by where maybe you only rush the court after you clinch if you clinch a regular season title and all that, and you can have a fun little moment where you sing "We Are the Champions" on the court. But yeah, this is one of the situations where you typically storm the court. That's what you do. So there are some people that got weirdly mad about it. I'm not saying 9-5 was getting weirdly, but there are some people who were weirdly mad that the Aggies stormed the court. It's like, yeah, duh, that's what you do in this situation. Given, the ranks of the teams and how big the game was.
Another question from 9315. Do you know if they are working on bonuses or contract extensions for Couch? I'm guessing you mean Coach.
I imagine they're thinking about it. This is not the time to be doing that kind of thing, but they're probably starting to ask donors like, hey, we're going to have to sign this guy to a really long contract if he ends up winning the conference.
Yeah.
If he wins the conference, you're looking at a 7 or 8 year contract extension.
This guy is going to be in very high demand. Also, maybe they could get Stu to explain how great a long career is at Utah State. Yeah, that'd be great.
And the thing is, I think if they can pay Sprinkle enough money, between $1.5 and $2 million, that's been enough to keep guys like Leon. Of course, Leon Rice actually weirdly underpaid, but Brian Dutcher, he's not paid all that much relative to maybe some of the Power 5 teams. But if you can pay a guy enough money, not the super high, maybe even $3 to $5 million that some of the biggest college football names are making, but enough, $2 million-ish. Danny Sprinkle, unless he's just really
pay the basketball coach more than the football coach.
I guess.
Currently, that's not the way it is.
I know, but
but certainly the basketball coach is having more success.
Yeah, but if you want him to stick around, that's kind of the price tag you're going to be looking at, is close to $2 million, which would be more than Blake Anderson's, somewhere between $1.5 and $2 million, I think.
I think it's right around 1.5, if I'm not mistaken.
I think
Don't quote me on that.
I think you're just about right. That's about where I was thinking it was, but that kind of number would be enough to keep Danny Sprinkle around, unless he's really looking to move up. There's some people that are always going to be looking to move up. There are other guys who are fine staying where they're at this mid-major level. Again, Brian Dutcher, he's fine where he's at.
Right. He's proved that he can play on a national level, recruit on a national level, and win at a high level where he's at.
Yeah. And Danny Sprinkle's proving that he can recruit at a really high level here at Utah State. He's proven that year one. And you look at the guys he's bringing in this next recruiting class, one of them I think was listed as a borderline 4-star on ESPN. That's the guy he's bringing into Utah State. So, I think it's possible. Again, you have to pony up probably more money than you've ever really typically paid to a basketball coach, but I think it could be enough, given that Mountain West basketball coaches can stick around a little longer. Maybe not 20 years. I mean, Stu didn't even stick around 20 years.
That's just unheard of.
But, 10 years, that's doable at the right price.
5 years might be a long lifespan for a very successful coach. In the
it
Mountain
might be,
West.
because then somebody really is throwing $5 million at him.
They're going to throw
and that's really hard to turn down.
Life-changing money at him. 7994. The USU win was a statement. It sent notice to the Mountain West that the Aggies are a real contender. Rushing the court was the students recognizing the statement that was delivered.
Yeah.
I like that.
It was a statement win and a ranked win. And typically ranked wins, you storm, especially if you're unranked. There's a bit of math involved. So are you ranked? Are they ranked? How much higher are they? Whatnot. But still, I knew it was going to happen. That's how obvious they were going to storm the court was. I knew it was going to happen. Was waiting for it. And I think a lot of other people were expecting it too.
Yeah. 5338. The thing about Stu is that he is a Utah guy. Sprinkle is a Montana guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's not a school in Montana that's going to be able to pay him or provide the opportunity to him like he gets at Utah State. And I guess maybe the point there that he's making is that he's not from the state of Utah, so he's not.
Yeah, he doesn't have
connected,
the same.
Maybe
he doesn't have the same
Stu.
ties to being at Utah State that Stu Morrill did.
Yeah,
but Stu was from Provo.
But yeah, Stu, he coached in Montana. He coached in Colorado. But he found his long-term home in Logan.
Yeah.
8968. I'll admit that after the last Aggie football game, my interest in football left.
Give it one more year. That's what I would say. I won't blame anyone for being really disappointed in this last football season. You should be. There was a lot that went wrong that season, but there was a lot that pointed in the right direction. So, like I said, Blake Anderson's got, I've said this too many times, Blake Anderson's got one more year. Next year is really going to be, that's when the jury comes out, is what he does next season. And,
yeah, interesting to see what happens with the defensive coordinator position, too.
Yeah, they got to figure some things out. If they don't figure out that defense, then, or just figure out things in general on that team, that's when you start looking a new direction.
But the recruiting class looks promising.
Yeah, a lot of things.
A lot of young players got a lot of playing time this last year who are going to be back. So there are a number of things lining up for Utah State football to be better than a team that went to a bowl game last year.
Yeah, I would use the term, occasionally use the term cautiously optimistic. you can be cautiously optimistic. Like, understand you're disappointed in how Blake Anderson's handled the team the last couple of years. Now you're going to give him one more year. Feels like he may have figured it out, but then if he doesn't figure it out, then yeah, you consider moving on.
8968, coaches that have left the Aggies in search of greener pastures have generally found nothing but dry ground.
Yeah, Craig Smith's not doing. He's doing all right.
He's doing better. His team got
has got one vote in this last AP poll.
Yeah, they were getting multiple votes until they faced both Arizona schools.
Yeah, that was a little tricky. But then Ryan Odom's not doing too bad at VCU. They're not doing great, but they're not doing bad. They had some injuries to start the year. That's kind of they've hurt a little bit.
Yeah. All right, going to take another time out here on the Full Court Press. If you want to continue to weigh in, we'd love to hear from you. 435-339-0321. Big win for the Utah State men's basketball team. Some individuals honored by the conference earlier today. We'll talk about that. The latest RPI rankings out for Region 11 and all of 4A basketball for both boys and girls. We'll give you the latest updates there on the rankings and the latest net rankings for the Mountain West as well. It's all coming up here on the Full Court Press. 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Let's start the new year right with a huge winter clearance at Daryl's Appliance. You know Daryl's for their scratch and dent appliances. Now save an extra 10% off. They just got a fresh new load. And they have selected display appliances marked down to move fast. Plus, get 12 months financing on your purchase through January. But wait, there's more. Book a service call online and get a $15 discount. Only at Daryl's Appliance, west on Airport Road.
When it comes to home care, it's important to know you have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of hospice or home health services, remember that Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient as well as the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006.
It's never too late or too cold to get rid of that old vehicle. Now is the time to earn extra cash by calling DD Auto and Salvage. Let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy and fast to get rid of your junker vehicles by paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204 today.
See store for details.
No matter how cold it is outside, you can count on a quality-built, super-efficient York furnace to keep you warm inside. York furnaces provide consistent comfort throughout your home. York furnaces are protected by the strongest warranties available. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning, your local York dealer, at 752-7272 to schedule a free evaluation of your system. Advanced Heating will help you save up to 50% in energy costs this season. Online at advancedheating-ac.com.
This show is different.
The Doug Gottlieb Show.
Make him say, make him say,
Ladies and gentlemen.
Now, the argument for Belichick would be this. That, when Belichick's had a quarterback, obviously he was very, very good. And he's the opposite of what you've had previously. Brandon Staley was only in the NFL for like 6-7 years before he became a defensive coordinator, then all of a sudden was propelled to being a head coach.
The Doug Gottlieb Show.
Weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan. The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools, the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. We've excused Jason Walker. He's heading up to practice to get the latest from Coach Danny Sprinkle. Aggies got to celebrate for a minute, but now they've turned their attention to the Wyoming Cowboys and have to keep playing well in a very, very good Mountain West Conference. So the win on Saturday gave the Aggies their second Quad 1 victory. Remember, they look at the entirety of your schedule, all of college basketball, and break it up into 4 quadrants. The best teams are in Quad 1. Those are the when it comes to the selection Sunday for the NCAA tournament, those games in your quad 1 and your quad 2, that's where the selection committee will spend most of their time focusing and evaluating your team. And currently, Utah State now has 2 victories. They're 2-0 in quad 1 games. They're 2-0 in 2-1 in quad 2 games. Bradley is back up to quad 2. And the Aggies in conference play will need to continue to play well. There are 6 more games on their schedule that are currently in the quad 1 territory. So that was a great win on Saturday, but the Aggies need to show they can continue to play well, and will need to get one of these quad 1 wins on the road, because they got a quad 1 win on a neutral site. They got a quad 1 win at home. Can they get a quad 1 victory away from the friendly confines of the Spectrum? So that will be a true test for this team. But regardless of all that future stuff, the voters in the Associated Press and those in the among coaches giving Utah State their flowers for what the kind of week they had this last week. Ranked 23rd in the coaches poll, 20th in the AP poll, and also the Mountain West Conference handing out some individual honors, as Great Osobor recognized as the Player of the Week, and Mason Falslev the Freshman of the Week. And apparently I may have spoke a little too soon, because Jason has found his way back into the studio.
So the thing is, they told us to be there at 4:50. Practice would end at 5. I got a text a couple minutes ago. They ended 20 minutes early. And
that's always fun.
And they wait for nobody. So luckily Al Lewis is likely there. He's always there. He spends about half of practice there waiting for So we'll get the audio, so we'll have it tomorrow. But getting shut out because I guess they ended.
They notoriously always go late.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, okay, I show up. I'm going to be there 10 minutes before the end of practice. They end 20 minutes early. So I was driving up the lane. I was like, okay, text. Oh, they're done. And yeah, they're not waiting for me to drive, 5-10 minutes to get there.
No, shoot. Okay, well that's too bad.
It is.
Al Lewis asks good questions.
Yeah, he does. So I won't get to ask the questions that I had, but yeah, Al will typically cover it. So we'll still get to hear from Danny Sprinkle despite my absence.
We'll still hear from him tomorrow. But Utah State, Great Osobor recognized as the Player of the Week, and then Mason Falslev the Freshman of the week, and Osobor having a great week with a career high 32 in the game at Air Force, and he had that huge double-double, 20 points, 14 rebounds in the win over Colorado State, and just consistently putting pressure on opposing defenses, so good in the low post, and forcing teams to foul him. He's spending a lot of time at the free throw line, and it really helping this team in the successful run that they've had so far.
Yeah, and honestly, Osobor and Falslev earning these awards, I was 100% expecting it. Like, I started writing the article before it even came out. So, they're definitely going to do it. Because Osobor averaged, 26 points over the week. You mentioned his pressure with free throws. The 10 free throws he made against Air Force were the third most he's ever made in his career. He went 8 of 8, which is the most he's ever made without a miss in his career. And yeah, career high 32 points one night, then 20-14 the next. That is a fantastic week. And it's emblematic of him kind of bouncing back from what was a handful of tougher games. And these were probably easier matchups for him to deal with. Air Force, it was like a man among boys. They had nobody who could even have a prayer of stopping him. In Colorado State, better team defense, but still he's going up against a bunch of guys who are 6'7", 6'8". He had a physical advantage over them. But still, he'd struggled against some other teams, but broke out of a kind of mini slump for him, and he's back to put up 20 and 10, dang near 30 and 10. He had 32 points, 9 rebounds, barely missed a double-double against Air Force. Then had a couple of blocks as well against Colorado State. And yeah, Mason Falslev, earning that freshman. There's a lot of good freshmen, so it's a little, you might think it's a little surprising that he's not won it before now, but there's some dang good freshmen in this conference.
Yes.
So
But Falslev, 18 points against Air Force, 18 points against a very good Colorado State team. One of the, I'm not going to call it a knock, but one of the things that's been a bit of a concern for Mason is that he plays very well in the Spectrum but struggles on the road. He played great at Air Force.
Yeah, played great at Air Force and then played great against a really good Colorado State team. I know some of the other games he's disappeared a little bit against some better teams. Not universally, because he had 19 points against UC Irvine, although that was also at home.
Yeah, at home.
But still, he's played great. He struggled against San Francisco, struggled against Santa Clara. So he'd struggled against some of the better teams they played as of late, but then he broke out again, played really well against Colorado State. So he showed that maybe there's some minor inconsistency for being a freshman, but he's going to be an overall really great player most of this year. And obviously he's going to get really good down the line.
Got to take another quick break. We've got some of your texts coming through. We'll get to those after this quick timeout here on the Full Court Press.
They say diamonds are a girl's best friend, particularly when she's thinking of marriage. When it comes to this important decision, visit S.E. Needham Jewelers in historic downtown Logan. We have been the part of thousands of happy engagements. You'll enjoy our vast selection of beautiful and unique engagement rings. You'll also enjoy our relaxed and elegant environment. You'll not be hurried and you'll feel no pressure as you have fun looking for the perfect ring. Where Utah gets engaged. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
Hello, I'm Ashley Nate, Operations Manager at Cache Valley Bank. My calm and caring personality combined with my quick problem-solving skills help me provide my customers with the personalized attention and exceptional service they deserve. And I look forward to providing you with that same experience. Come visit the Preston branch and ask for Ashley or give me a call to see what opening an account with Cache Valley Bank can do for you. I look forward to meeting you. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. I'd like to invite you to learn more about us. Since 1997, we've been Utah's premier one-stop shop for home medical equipment. What sets us apart at Alpine Home Medical is the superior level of customer service. We provide home oxygen, CPAPs, wheelchairs, scooters, breast pumps, and so much more. Come on down and get to know us.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit alpinehomemedical.com.
Nearly 21 years ago, Cafe Sabor opened their doors in historic Logan train station. With the help of hundreds of amazing employees and patronage of thousands of wonderful customers, Cafe Sabor is proud to have been voted 3 years in a row Cache Valley's favorite Mexican restaurant in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Follow Cafe Sabor on social media for giveaways and promotions. Search Cafe Sabor for a restaurant near you. Thank you, Cache Valley, from your friends at Cafe Sabor.
Following the local teams, it's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
It's definitely winter now. A lot of snow on Sunday, and we've got more on the way this week. Do you have the right stuff that you need to make your vehicle run properly through all the cold and the wet? You can get 50 pounds of Blue Heat Ice Melt at Napa Auto Parts for just $10. You also get the right kind of wiper blades for this kind of weather at Napa. They'll even help you install them right there on the spot. Napa Auto Parts, we've got 5 different locations between Preston and Providence. Big win for Utah State on Saturday over Colorado State. Great Osobor and Mason Falslev recognized for their efforts through this past week in conference play. And getting to the Full Court Press text line, closing out the hour, 8968. My interest in the Aggies is still there. It's just my interest in college football just left after the last Aggie game. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, if you're diehard Aggies and Aggies only, when they're done, then your interest in college football is done. But for me, I like college football, period, so I'm okay when there's more college football. Today is a sad day because it's the last day of college football for a long time. Well, at least until spring scrimmages.
Like at NFL, there's enough football to go around. But yeah, it is a little sad there's not going to be college football, but it's also nice because you hopefully get a good game.
Yeah. 9315 asking if the Wyoming game is sold out. I don't know if it is. I saw something on social media trying to do some kind of a special ticket package, but I don't know how many seats are left. Or how full it is. We'll try to look into that and get you an answer later on in the show. 4446 texting in, do you know how many quad one wins we ended up with last year? Last year, they didn't get very many. It was hard to get them last year, if I remember correctly. Because every time they would get a quad one game, the Aggies would beat their opponent, and it would knock them out of quad one territory. And so they may have had one.
They had
maybe two. They picked up one in the conference tournament.
Yeah, that's the thing is they had probably 4 games that were quad one, but as you said, may have ended up getting bumped down. I know they ended up with at least one. But I don't know if any of the others stayed that way. Because like wins over New Mexico and Boise State ended up being close to quad one. Yeah, right now they're sitting pretty comfortably at 2.
Yes.
And it'll probably stay that way most of the year.
Right, with many, many more opportunities to come. And it's a possibility that some of those quad 2 games could still move up into quad 1 territory. But they're going to have to continue to play well and not let their guard down. Wyoming's not a great team, but they're good enough. We'll talk about that more next hour in the Full Court Press.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. After back-to-back seasons of speculation and the rumors surrounding Jim Harbaugh's potential jump to the NFL are back in the news, Harbaugh has finally turned his alma mater around and has reportedly hired well-known NFL agent Don Yee to represent him. Michigan is currently a 4.5-point favorite in the national title game, but even if the Wolverines manage to take home the trophy, Harbaugh may still depart. Plenty of greats have left the game they love while on top. John Elway retired in 1998. Bill Walsh stepped away from the NFL after leading the Niners to their 3rd Super Bowl. Tony La Russa took an extended absence after the Cardinals secured the World Series in 2011. And players like Peyton Manning, Jerome Bettis, David Robinson, and Michael Strahan all walked away after reaching the pinnacle of their sport. It happens more than you think, so while a Michigan title would be a wonderful story, there's no guarantee it keeps Jim Harbaugh in Ann Arbor. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.